Thank you, everyone, for joining. My name is Logan Dubil, conservative commentator, political content creator, whatever you want to call me. Also known as the most hated student at Point Park University. The only reason I bring that up is because I'm joined by the most hated couple of the University of Pittsburgh. We have Lili, Khaleil. Thank you two for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. So these two brave individuals had the audacity to start a Turning Point USA chapter at the University of Pittsburgh. And because of that, I would say that your school probably has been in headline after headline for the past month or two now.
Yep.
So why don't you just dive into why you decided to start the chapter?
Yeah, I can speak on that. It was summer of last year. Yeah, summer of last year.
22.
And I don't know how it got brought up, but we wanted to go to SAS. SAS is a student action summit that they have every single summer for Turning Point. And so we went, and we got asked to start a chapter because there were, of course, no Turning Point chapters at Pitt. So then I was like, hey, Khaleil, like, I want to start this. I need advice. And then he was like, I'll definitely do it with you. So that's kind of how it started. And we had, like, no members for the first couple of months. I think we had, like, 20 tops. So, like, nobody was interested in it. We always got, like, the middle fingers tabling. And, like, we tried everything to get it out there. But, like, it was impossible. Like, we are at a campus that's completely left.
To start with the advisor.
Oh, yeah, and we couldn't even find an advisor because in order to make, your club official at Pitt, you do need someone to sign it off.
That's, like, the most important part, really.
Exactly, and we couldn't find anybody.
Even, like, getting into EMS, right?
Yeah,
Which
so we still don't have
yeah.
an EMS account, which is, like, where you can reserve tables and, like, classrooms to hold your meetings in. Like, we don't even have an account. I have to call the office every single time I want to reserve a spot. So, like, you can see, like, the bias there. It was really hard to start the club. It was really hard to get people involved in the club. We weren't even allowed to do the fall fair, where all the organizations go, and show like their, I guess, organization. Like we weren't even allowed to do that. But now I think we're at over 100 members. So it's definitely
Which is
grown.
crazy.
Yeah, no, it's been less than a year. It hasn't even been a year, and we have 100 people. So we're slowly growing. I mean, having these events helped us a lot, and I guess since Pitt hated it so much, it also helped us. No, it really did. But that's kind of how it got started.
Bad publicity is good publicity.
There is no bad publicity.
Yeah, no, for real. And I met you guys because I ran into a conservative student on campus, and I didn't even know at that point that there was a Turning Point chapter. Point Park University doesn't allow any of that. So I'm always looking for ways to get involved. And when I heard that you guys started a Turning Point chapter here, I was like, I have to meet them. Yeah. And we're going to go into the first day we met a little bit later because that was a day in itself. But no, ever since I met you guys, you've just been
on the go.
Yeah, they're tabling, they're hosting meetings, events, and you hosted two really big, impressive speakers recently, and that caused a whole conundrum. So let's start from the beginning. You hosted Cabot, Phillips, and Riley Gaines. So which one did you book first?
Okay, so actually Cabot reached out to me, and he was like, hey, I'm going on tour for everything the media doesn't tell you. Would your chapter be interested in hosting me? I said, absolutely. Like, at this point, the chapter was slowly growing, and we didn't have, like, any speakers even, like, planned. And this was way back in, like, September, I think. Like, it was way ahead. And so I was like, yeah, definitely. Like, we want to host you. And then Riley, we booked them through the Leadership Institute. So that's who kind of pays for everything. And the Leadership Institute goes, well, like, your chapter is growing fast. I mean, you've only been doing this for about 5 months now. Would you like to host Riley? I said, absolutely. And so then, we got Riley, and then we had Cabot. I mean, it was crazy because they are the first speakers at Pitt in the last 5 years that are a conservative speaker. So, I mean, just, like, being able to bring a conservative speaker like again to campus is like I think an accomplishment as
100%. 100%. And what was your reaction when you kind of booked the speakers?
everything was moving very fast. Like, we've been very busy since the start of our club. And I feel like we kind of got to the event date really, really fast. Like, it did not feel like there was much time to think of anything. I mean, I think it really got interesting, and we were like, oh, yeah, like, these events are coming up whenever everybody started getting all upset about them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, then the first major upset, if I'm not mistaken with my chronological order, would be the petition.
Yeah, so I kind of run the Turning Point Instagram right now. It's been hard finding officers, too, for Turning Point. But we posted Riley and we posted Cabot. They were posted for, like, 3 days, I think. No attention. Only our members liked it. We were like, we're so excited, like, to be hosting these speakers. But, like, we didn't think anything of it. Like, we were just really excited to have them. And then there was, like, out of nowhere, just, like, comment after, like, repost. Like, our Instagram was blowing up. We were on spring break. So, like, it just, like, the phone was, like, blowing up. And we were like, what is going on? Like, did someone post something accidentally? And then we realized it was Riley's post, like, Riley's advertisement that we were having her on campus. And so many people hating it. 2 hours later, a petition. A petition's made to cancel the events. And we didn't really think we were doing anything wrong, because we were bringing 2 great speakers that were known, or, you know, getting to be known. So we were like, this is amazing. Like, we are so proud of us. But at the same time, like, there's so much hate around it. And we didn't really understand why. Then we read the petition, and of course, they were upset about Riley coming to campus speaking about keeping men out of women's sports, Cabot, and then college Republicans are hosting Michael Knowles. So I think it was just a lot for them, especially not having a conservative speaker on campus for 5 years.
Yeah, and having 3 of them stacked up within, I mean, I guess it
Within
is
a
all
month.
within a month,
Yeah.
because Cabot was the 24th of March, Riley was 3 days after, and Michael Knowles is coming up on April 18th. So literally within a month, you have 3
Within a month.
transphobic speakers coming to campus.
So they say.
And the petition has, the last time I checked, like 11,000 people.
Yeah, I think
signing.
we're almost at 12.
Yeah, and all to cancel the events. And it's funny because these people say they're, you know, against fascism and pro-free speech and all of that. But when you have a petition to cancel 3 events in one petition, you're not pro-free speech.
No.
You're just pro-speech that you like.
Right. And
the petition is not the only thing that we saw with that. I think next was the student government for the school released a statement. You had administrators. You had the chancellor also released something.
Vice chancellor.
Any reaction to seeing, you know, people who were hired to work with all students on campus actively trying to, you know, denounce your event and get it canceled?
Yeah. You want to go ahead?
I didn't notice any of that. I mean, the administration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
aside from the petition.
So there were statements that were being released. Her name's, I know last name is Cud.
Cud.
Yeah, she was like a higher up chancellor who released a statement, you know, reaffirming the LGBTQ community. But it was clear that she was taking a side.
No, I was upset because for administration and pretty high up there to be saying, I think she called us harmful and toxic. Yeah. I mean, what we're doing isn't harmful or toxic. So for like her to be encouraging this, for her to be encouraging protest, I think it's wrong.
Well, I just want to jump back for a second because as we were on spring break, the university had contacted us. I think it was a day, maybe 2 days after the petition. And the petition got like, I want to say like almost 10,000 signatures in a week, maybe 2 weeks. But like by like the 3rd or 4th day, they were at like 6,000.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we had been contacted and we met with them over spring break. And then like 15 minutes after the meeting, our faculty advisor resigned.
Yeah.
Um,
So it was very strange because they reached out to me and they're like, Lily, we have to have a meeting with you regarding your events. And I was like, oh, finally, like they're going to help me plan. You know, like it's my first time holding an event. So I was really, really excited that they were going to help me set up the room and everything. And really all we talked about was how these events could be harmful and how there was a lot of hate, not just towards the club, but towards me and Khaleil. So they were like, we need to find a way to make this safe, but almost like hinting at a way where it's like, we don't really think you should have these events here because of whatever reason. So then I got off that call and I was going to call my advisor because he couldn't make that meeting, but he asked me to give him a call after it to tell him how it went. So I was going to give him a call, and before I could, he sent me this very long email explaining that he had to resign. Like, he couldn't be our advisor anymore. And that left us in a really bad place because in order to bring someone to campus, you need to sign a contract. And that contract needs to be signed by the school, by me, by the speaker, and by the advisor. So our event was like 2 or 3 weeks out, and we didn't have an advisor to sign off.
Would you blame the petition for that?
I would blame everything. I don't know if the professor got hate or somebody, you know, kind of hinting at, hey, maybe you shouldn't be their advisor, because I think it's very easy to find who runs the club, who advises it. I don't know what type of repercussions he was facing that made him resign, but I would definitely say that maybe the petition had something to do with it.
Well, also, like, we don't even know if those contracts were ever pushed out, because how long in advance had we started the process?
Yeah, like months.
So we really don't know if the contracts were ever pushed out for the faculty advisor to sign.
So I mean, it could have been this. I mean, it could have got lost. The process could have slowed up, but it also could have been the school.
Exactly.
Because we've even talked about this off camera. Like, it's a public university,
Right.
so they can't just cancel an event. But if they found the technicality, then
To do so, then absolutely.
So not having an advisor would definitely put you guys at risk of not having the events. And luckily, you were able to, despite over 12,000 people signing a petition to cancel it, despite student government, academics within the university, even PA lawmaker Latasha Mays, not even condemning the events, but the university for allowing the events to happen.
That was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that was insane. But despite all of that, the events happened. So let's dive into first one, which was March 24th, Cabot Phillips.
Yes.
Didn't even talk about the trans issue, which is why everyone was so upset. He talked about media bias, I guess is a good way to sum it up.
Yeah, and he had the largest protest, which is hilarious because he talked about the media. He is in, you know, the media. That's kind of his career. And he was kind of telling us, like, there's a lot that the media doesn't tell you. And he's witnessed that firsthand. So he wasn't even bringing up the LGBTQ community at all. But yeah, the protest was like over 3,000 students. And they made their way inside. And it was really sad because one of the main reasons we hold these events are so everybody can speak their mind. We have a Q&A at the end of these events, so there can be a friendly, civil conversation, whether you think like the speaker or not. So for them to just, you know, be obnoxious and loud during our event, first of all, it was really sad that they were not kicked out immediately, because it says that you cannot disrupt an event. It literally says that. Yeah. So they were given like 3 or 4 chances before they were like, okay, that's enough. They literally were yelling, being disrespectful to Cabot, walked out of the room and like tried to like steal our signs. And I mean, they could have sat there, listened to what Cabot had to say, and waited for the Q&A.
And Khaleil, can you describe your reaction at the beginning? Because you were the one who was supposed to introduce Cabot, and their way of protesting was talking obnoxiously loud, having their conversations at a higher volume so the event really couldn't be heard. Right. And you were even telling me that you had a microphone in your hand and you couldn't even tell if it was working or not. They were talking that loud. So kind of go through your thoughts at the beginning of the Cabot event.
Right. So I was trying to get everybody settled so that we could start. and they were being so loud. And at this point, I didn't realize this was some form of protest. I just thought it was people talking. I couldn't. They were so loud, I couldn't even tell the microphone was on. And then eventually, I was like, "Oh, okay, I understand what this is now." So I just kind of walked up to them. Was like, "Excuse me." They got louder. So I just like tried to finish my introduction, and then Cabot started, and they kept going. And it honestly felt like it was 10 or 15 minutes that they had disrupted this event.
And props to Cabot for handling that so well.
And it was so loud. I mean, I couldn't even, let alone I couldn't hear myself. I couldn't hear Cabot at all.
And you were using a microphone.
Yeah. Sitting right in front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it bother you that it, like, because you just said it took them, they were given 3-4 warnings. Did it bother you how long that took to get them out?
Yeah, because we knew that this was going to happen. We didn't know when. We thought maybe in between. But if it says very clearly, pick guidelines when you're hosting an event, that if there's anybody can protest peacefully. And we are so for that, because we can't be hypocritical and say, well, free speech, but don't protest. Like, no. But you can't disrupt an event. And that's exactly what they were doing. And it took them like 15 minutes to kick them out of there. Which, yeah, it's upsetting because it took that long. It should have taken no more than 2 minutes. And they should have been kicked out. So, yeah, that was,
And then that's also taking time away from Cabot's speaking, time. And when all of this is going on, there's another 200 plus students on campus screaming at the top of their lungs. I didn't even get a chance to go over because as soon as I saw in the beginning of what was happening with Khaleil and, how disruptive the one side of the room was, I was like, no, I definitely need to be in here.
Yeah.
And I'm happy I did, because when they got kicked out, I got really good footage, which I've posted all over social media, and I'll probably throw in here too, of them getting all up in my face and saying that we were silencing trans people. And the event's not even about transgenderism at all. Where do you think they got that idea from?
To be honest, I don't know. I really don't know, because they even put that in the petition, that he was a known transphobe, Cabot. And I was like, where are we getting this information from?
Yeah. I feel like it somehow got into the liberal echo chamber. And, we even saw it with Michael Knowles, calling him a genocidal transphobe, which was grossly misquoted.
Yes.
And that seemed to be like
headline after headline.
Yeah, headline after headline after headline. So it's beyond me. I would hope that if you're going to make those type of accusations, you know what you're talking about. And it seems like it's a very common trend that a lot of these people don't even know what they're arguing for. Like, they don't know any specifics, any details. They just make things up that they hear and keep on saying the same things.
In my mind, they probably heard Turning Point USA, Daily Wire, conservative, automatically branded a transphobe.
Yeah.
And you guys have probably, how many times have you been called that since you announced the event?
Oh, so much. You can see it all over my comments on Instagram. I'll post a picture, I don't know, nothing relating to anything political, and whatever comment bashing me, just... I think that it just, like, once someone says something, they'll just, like, stick to it and run with it. No matter if it's true or false. Like, they'll just stick to it and run with it. And that's what they've been doing for all of our speakers.
Well, I think we can also look back to the little tabling incident we had in, what was that, October?
Yeah, that was a while back.
Yeah, so we were just starting our chapter. Yeah. And, like, even then, just because we're like Turning Point affiliated, like, yes, our club is Turning Point, but the student that came up to our table was accusing me of being racist and hating women, and like, I'm literally sitting there like, I am a woman, like, how can you tell me that I'm racist or I'm against this or hating that when you don't even know me? You don't even know what I stand for. Yes, Turning Point. My values are conservative. That's not something I'm going to hide ever. But at the end of the day, like, you don't know me. How can you say that I hate or I'm a transphobe or I hate women. Like, it's just, I mean, it's above me. Like, I don't even know what to say to that.
I think the narrative about us was set long before we even got
I was
there.
gonna say because that was months before you even announced a speaker. You didn't even have any major speakers last semester. Like this was before winter break hit and everything. It's before I even really like knew you guys. Yeah. And then you see everything happening at the event. I mean, I would say probably the majority of the people in the room were there to protest it, which again, peaceful protest, that's fine. But if you're going to come in and be disrespectful and make a fool of yourself, then why are you there in the first place? Why don't you just go join everyone else who was making a fool of themselves outside of the event?
Right. And because you don't see us doing that. It's so funny to think because there's so many events that we don't stand for on campus. But you don't see us there trying to shut it down or protesting it. And, like, you know, like, think why.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, it's just sad that we can't have a civil conversation. And I think a college campus, should be one of the best places to do that. I mean, you would think that we're all maturing and having a mature conversation.
You would think.
You would think. So, I don't know. It's such a shame. It really is. But, like, Riley's event was way better. We tackled
which
that.
I'm so confused by that.
Right.
Why Cabot Phillips was such a big deal on campus, and then you have like, of course, I don't think she's a transphobe,
Absolutely not.
based off of the left's perspective, someone I guess who would more align in that category. And the only really pushback Riley Gaines had, which this event was 3 days after Cabot, the only pushback she had was a few people in the room who were doing what you guys were hoping they would do and use the Q&A question to challenge Riley on her views. The protest, though, outside, I would say that was probably a little bit more crazy compared to the Cabot Phillips one because they were in an intersection.
I didn't get to see that.
Yeah, so I wasn't there, but I've seen like they literally blocked off a whole like they stood like where the crosswalks are in the intersection, like they made a square and blocked off the whole intersection.
I kind of feel like the protest for Cabot was better. I mean, from what I could see from the window.
I mean, I would say bigger and maybe more civil for the Cabot one.
Really?
For sure. I would think. I mean, they were screaming and being obnoxious, but it wasn't like they were in traffic.
Right.
And according someone, I think I made a comment about that, the Riley Gaines protest online, and they said, oh, well, we were allowed to, like, police let us, but so, like, how are you winning anyone over? You're pissing people off by blocking traffic.
I mean, it doesn't even bother me that they like protest or are upset about it. In fact, it makes me quite happy. But you know, at least if you're going to do that, get your facts straight about what you're protesting. You know.
And I will say we didn't cover this, but also Pitt changed our location for Cabot like the day
Last
before.
minute, yeah.
The day before. We were in Ohio. And I get an email and then a phone call, and they were like, we changed your room. And it was for security purposes, I understand that. But that also threw us off a lot because a lot of people were confused with the location. You kind of can't fix that last minute if they changed it last minute. So, I mean, they were protesting really far from us, which was good. It didn't really disrupt our event, but the protesters inside of it did. Now, for Riley, there were protesters, but it was way more civil inside. I mean, I wasn't aware of what was happening outside, but we had a great event. I mean, Riley was a great
I was
event.
very impressed with how everything kind of worked out for that.
No, it was great.
And even seeing, I'm sure hopefully some people have seen headlines during the Q&A section, there was an anthropologist professor here who was so proud that he was a PhD holder, he had to let everyone know. But just seeing him push back against Riley, saying, no, men and women have similar bone structures, and the whole room laughing, showed such a turn of, I guess, the atmosphere in the room compared to the Cabot one. Because that was mainly protesters, and you were even, I think, telling me that like some of your members were a little bit nervous to come because of how many protests were happening. And then you have now the Riley Gaines one where it was filled with support. And I'm not even saying everyone in the room supported all of Riley's viewpoints, but I mean, I just don't know why protecting women's sports is such a controversial thing. So it was reassuring to see so many people realize that professor was an idiot. And
No, and I think it's a hard conversation to have. Like, but I think it's definitely one that has to be had. I mean, as a woman, I can't even imagine, I mean, you know, like a guy walking into, I dance, so like a dressing room, or when I played soccer, you know, a locker room. And they're just fully naked, whether they're changing. I mean, there was a girl holding up a sign, and why are you looking, Riley? Like, why were you looking? It's not about that. It's not why were you looking. It's why is a man in a woman's locker room. I mean, it makes you so uncomfortable, one. Two, it's disrespectful. And, like, so many bad things could happen
For real.
from someone being in the incorrect locker room, because not everybody has good intentions. And, like, I don't think that people really think about that. They're just like, oh, well, he wants to be a woman. Why can't he be? Because that's not what he was assigned at birth.
And that's just not how things work.
It's not. I can't say that I want to be a dog tomorrow. It's just not how it works.
You can, technically.
Technically now.
I don't know why you are able to do that and people just drop,
Right.
like, oh, okay.
Like,
Ruff,
okay,
ruff.
I'll refer to you as a dog. Like,
Yeah.
no. Like, it's just like this false reality. It's crazy. It's a false reality is what it is. And, I mean, props to Riley, because she's standing up for something that I think a lot of girls should be standing up for. And it's just respecting ourselves and respecting women.
And I think a lot of girls do want to stand up for that, but just
scared.
the political atmosphere right now is just not a safe spot for them to do that, which I'm assuming is why you guys are so vocal on campus.
Right. I mean, if we don't do it, who else will? Especially at Pitt.
Let alone a false reality. Like, sure, like if you want to believe something yourself that is very clearly not true,
Go for it.
that's on you. But you can't expect everybody else to partake in your lie.
Right.
So,
And that's why I was branded most hated student at Point Park, because it was literally being implemented by Point Park University that if someone told you what their pronouns were, you had to address them by that. And if
Well,
you didn't,
Yeah.
they could literally, like, the administration would, I think the quote was like, could take action or something like that against you. So me just not even giving my opinion on that, but writing a news article and exposing and, like, bringing light to what the policy was about, that getting picked up by a whole bunch of media outlets, and I was branded a transphobe, and
Wow.
no one takes me seriously on my campus anymore. So that's why I'm so happy that I met you guys, because now I have somewhere where there are other conservatives who are welcoming, and I have, you know, a place.
Of course. I think they meant to brand you smartest person on campus, Logan. I think
That's what I like to think. I don't know if they would agree, but
yeah, whoever was writing that just accidentally, you know, like.
it was like a typo,
Typo.
or an autocorrect or
Typo.
something. But
No, but it's so sad because there's so many conservatives on campus that are scared. And I've met a lot of girl conservative students that they're like, well, I don't want to lose all my friends. Or I'm scared of getting death threats. People know where I live.
kicked out of their sorority.
Kicked out of their sorority.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because, I mean, why are we scared? Like, honestly, like, we should stand up and, like, stand for what we believe in. We really should. Because at the end of the day, like I was telling, the main protester who organized the protest went to our events, and she was there, and she was civilly there. And she had great questions, and she really just wanted to see what we were talking about. And at the end of the event, she came up to me, and we were talking, and by the end of the conversation, she told me, she was like, Lily, like, you're not a bad person. And I said, no, I am not a bad person. I don't even not like you. Like, I don't hate you, or I'm not a transphobe like you call me out to be. I just don't agree with what you agree, like, with. Like, that, I just don't, my views don't align with yours. That doesn't mean I hate you. Like, I mean, to talk about my faith just a little bit, like, God loves you. Like, at the end of the day, like, God loves you. So, like, I'm not going to hate you because of what you believe in. Like, that's just not who I am. And I think that, I mean, she's realized that. And if other people would just realize, like, we're really not, like, trying to cause violence on campus. Because a lot of people were scared. And, you know, this whole thing started with, like, protect our lives, like, LGBTQ lives, like, protect them. And, like, they got, like, mental health counseling and, like, a bunch of resources. And it's like, we're not out to get you. Like, we're not out to hurt you. Like, we civilly want to speak truth. That's what it is. It's truth.
And I think that bothers me a lot because it went from them like I just like fearing for their lives because conservatives were speaking on campus, and like you said, getting mental health access, which I'm not like knocking mental health issues or anything like that, but like just because someone was going to go talk about media bias and someone was going to talk about her personal experiences with competing against a biological man, and then that shifts into what we've talked about, conservative students fearing for their safety because you had to get a whole bunch of police officers and the event change and the protests and people were in the room and out of the room. So it's the people who think that their lives are at risk are actually threatening other people. And that bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's like a real shame that they're definitely scared of us, and I don't like, there's no good reason to be scared of us. They're wearing hard hats to protest because they think that we're going to attack them.
How tall are you, Lily?
I'm 5'3".
Watch out, guys.
But I think a lot of this like fear mongering has to do with, I mean, what they read in the media, what they see from the current administration. I mean, extremist MAGA Republicans,
Which is what Cabot Phillips was there to talk about.
and like
Yeah.
and also like a lot of these people, like you'll see are like the same people who refuse to believe that the last 2-3 years of their lives were a lie and are still wearing masks, cloth masks that don't do anything. So, you know.
Well, I mean, there's a different reason that they're wearing masks now, which we weren't.
Yeah.
And you'd see that not even at the University of Pittsburgh, but all over the place. There was just a pro-life event at VCU. I'm not sure what that stands for. I apologize, but I know that that's the acronym. But literally just people all in there wearing masks, and they got violent. So people are doing that to hide their identity, which is also what we just talked about, them threatening others. We learned that people didn't want to have their phones at the protest at Pitt because they didn't want to get tracked by police.
Right.
It's like, well, why are you worried about that if you're going to have a peaceful protest? So that's also concerning to conservative students who just want to have a space on campus where they can be with other people and talk about their views without getting attacked.
Yeah, and they better start getting used to it, honestly, because Turning Point started, but it's not going to end anytime soon.
It's been a couple months. You're up 100 members.
Yep.
2 very successful events. I don't care what anyone else says about, the whole Cabot thing. I mean,
no, they were successful. Oh my gosh, they were successful. We got our name out there, one.
Yeah.
We have gained so many members because of these events, because conservatives are starting to realize, well, there is this girl and this boy that are sticking up for me. No, seriously, because at the end of the day, like, if there's a place for someone to, like, speak out on what they believe in, like, we're going to attract new people to this club, like, all day, every day.
They'll also see that there's nothing to be afraid of,
Yeah.
too. Like, the massive police presence that was at the events, metal detectors, everything. Nobody got hurt. There was a ginormous protest.
that alone could be a little bit intimidating, but
Right.
it's also there to ensure that
Everybody's
the
safe.
people who want to go to the event are safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and we're really excited because the speakers we have lined up for next year, if they really hated Riley and
Cabot
Cabot,
Phillips and Riley
Oh.
Gaines.
then I can't wait for them to just hear who we have in store for next year, because it's going to be crazy.
And I think we set a really good tone, too, because
Oh, for sure.
The day that our advisor had resigned after the protest, I mean, we were starting to get emails, interview questions from newspapers, different media outlets, and I think we were very firm and direct by saying, under no circumstance will we cancel these events.
Yep.
And that's
They
how it's
even
going
asked
to
us-
continue to be.
They were even like, we had a little minor issue at the event, and their solution was, well, we don't mind if you pull your speaker out last minute. And I said, I'm not pulling my speaker.
Like, that was not even in the top
Like-
100 things on my list that I was gonna
Yeah, no, like, but so, like, you see where they're at.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it doesn't really matter. We're at a public campus. We are a student organization that is registered with the university.
Despite what anyone has to say about that.
Yeah, I don't know how some of you found out that we didn't have an advisor. We did. And that is why our events were able to.
Yeah, if they
happen.
weren't registered, if
Yeah.
they didn't have an advisor, those events would not have happened. So.
And
Yeah.
I have a good feeling this advisor isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, so I mean, no matter what some of you say, if you find out that he is our advisor, like we're not stopping here. So if you hate it, you don't have to come to our events. You don't even have to pay attention to us, because at the end of the day, like, we're gonna keep doing this. So just, I mean, we don't go to your drag shows because we don't like it. So just don't come to our events. I mean, like, we won't not like you for not coming. We're actually happier if you don't come. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see you guys in your American flag cutoffs and your signs and your.
I know. And why is the American flag offensive?
Yeah.
Like, this is your country.
Yeah.
You should love it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's just
a whole other issue that I will never understand.
This is a country where you're allowed to be a part of the LGBTQ
Yeah.
community.
And
Yeah.
we're allowed
should
to
love the country.
Yeah, right. And I know that you aren't the organization that's hosting Michael Knowles.
Mhm.
How do you see that going?
I think a little bit of Cabot and a little bit of Riley's events is, I think, what's going to happen. That event is definitely one where we are debating the LGBTQ community. Now, there is a conservative speaker or debater, I guess that's the term. And then there is somebody that's debating the LGBTQ community.
Who's trans? Yeah.
So you have a voice, whether you're conservative or on the left side. Like, you have a voice in this. So why would you want to shut it down? Or why would you want to stop it from happening when you can be heard? And I think that's the whole idea for this debate, to be heard. So, I mean, hopefully it goes great. I'm excited for Michael Knowles to be on campus. But, I mean, both sides are going to be there. So I think it's going to get a little crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're definitely excited. So, I mean, I think registration's closed now. But if there's still tickets, you should definitely go. April 18th.
There will be a wait list, though.
There will be a wait
There
list.
will be a wait list.
I think there's a wait list right now.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
April.
No, I mean, because both sides are going to be
Yeah.
there, so that's why it's going to be a little bit more popular.
And it's also live streamed. I forgot that. So if you can't get a ticket, if you can't get on the wait list, you should definitely check it out. Live stream.
University of Pittsburgh, April 18th.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Me too. It's going to be great.
Yeah. If we thought, I mean, like you said, there's both sides going to be there. So the fact that was included in the petition and people were like, if you look at all the statements in the PA lawmaker,
Yeah.
they're literally like condemning the event. So they're condemning a trans individual.
It's so
Having a
stupid.
voice
They're
on
protesting
campus.
their own event.
Yeah.
If if your argument and opinion is so strong
And
convincing,
backed,
then
yeah.
you're protesting
Yeah.
your own event. You know,
Yeah.
if we're just
so, I mean, they must be that scared that Michael
Yeah.
Knowles has something to say.
Yeah. Maybe the
but-
truth.
maybe
possibly.
some actual fact.
And it's funny because I interviewed the professor who's going to be debating Michael Knowles, and the professor was like, "This is dumb." I mean, they didn't say that
But, like,
word for word.
why
but
would you cancel
yeah,
it? Yeah.
like you're shutting down my voice. You're shutting down our argument. That doesn't make us look good.
yeah, no.
And if they're gonna want to shut that down and pull that professor out, Michael Knowles has no problem just doing a solo event. So wouldn't you rather it be a debate than Michael Knowles going up stage and threatening your lives or whatever everyone's saying?
yeah.
So
No,
it
it's
should be interesting.
Yeah, with Khaleil, Dylan, you, and I.
It's controversial already.
Yeah,
and
no,
that's not even
it's-
bringing in Michael Knowles. So.
No. And not even that, like, just the four of us just, like, meeting at the same time. Like, they're in for, like, a ride.
Yeah.
Like, they really are. Because if nobody stuck up for 5 years, nobody stood, like, up for what they believed in. Like,
We have 5 years to make up.
we have 5 years to make up. And we're going to make that up in, like, one.
In like one night.
In
So,
one night. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many things that have to be talked about. They have to.
Yeah, and I just want to so stepping away from the events, like Pittsburgh's campus as a whole. I'm sure you guys have experienced a lot. I don't even go to this university, which people if they do that go here
You're not
never let
missing
me
out.
hear the end of that. But no, like the day that we met
Mhm.
was probably the longest political day of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You picked me up in your truck
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time we ever met. I don't even think I knew what you guys looked like.
No, well,
Mm-mm.
you
On Instagram.
on Instagram,
Yeah.
and then we Snapchat. Yeah, we use Snapchat to just like
Plan it,
coordinate
yeah.
the day.
Well, at this point too, like we barely even knew there was a college Republicans club at Pitt.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the only reason I reached out was because I found out that you were starting the Turning Point chapter. So
Right.
I need to know these people.
Yep.
But the first day that we ever hung out, a couple days before the midterms,
Yes.
so like maybe November 1st, 2nd, around there.
Around then, I would say. I
Around
remember the
maybe a
date.
couple days after. But President Barack Obama was on campus. Obviously, we're not a fan of Barack Obama, but we went to the event anyway because we're civil people who respect open dialogue.
Mhm. With your Trump socks.
With my with all my Trump gear on, which I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, we stood in line for hour and a half,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, it was a
Um,
long line.
Got in, we got to hear Summer Lee, I think, spoke. She ran for something local.
Right.
John Fetterman tried to speak,
And knocked all the flags down.
knocked all the flags down.
All of the American flags fell.
A sign from God that
Yeah.
shouldn't have happened. And then Barack Obama spoke, and I think I received a little bit of backlash just for being there. We weren't even doing anything, but just because I had the MAGA
Yeah.
apparel on.
Yeah, I think the worst thing is like whenever I look at Barack Obama and I hear him rant on about taxing the rich, I'm like, do you guys not realize he lives on Martha's Vineyard?
How much money
Like-
does he have? Yeah, so I mean, yeah, we didn't. I mean, I don't want to speak for you guys, but I know I didn't agree with a lot of what was being said. But we were there respectfully. We weren't shouting and booing or doing anything. I mean, I was sometimes a little bit louder than I should have been responding to John Fetterman fumbling, but
I think half of the time when they spoke about something, it was something to do with abortion. Everybody was cheering. And I mean, I know it's a controversial topic, but that's really all I remember from that
yeah,
rally.
that wasn't really memorable.
Yeah, no, it
And
wasn't.
I'm not trying to say that from a biased viewpoint, but
No, but it really wasn't. And like that's when we started like getting like recognized a little bit by Pitt students because they would like point and like laugh like, what are they doing here? It's like, shocker. Yeah, we're here, you know, like
so is that a problem that
like,
I'm
yeah, like what? But then after that, we did see President Trump.
yes, we probably like an hour drive.
We drove directly to the Trump rally.
Yeah.
Waited 3 hours in line for that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah, no, for real.
Worth it.
Met a lot of really cool people in line.
Yeah.
Then we got to hear Oz, Mastriano, and Trump.
And there was a rainbow.
A
so
double rainbow.
rainbow.
Double
rainbow. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we had the flags fall over for Fetterman and a double rainbow sprout when Mastriano was talking.
yeah.
Still upset that none of those worked out the way that I thought they were going
Yeah.
to, but
But hey, watch out for 2024.
yeah. Yeah, but that was a cool day, not only because we met, but because we proved that conservatives can go to an event that they disagree with and not be disruptive.
Yeah.
And then we got to see our boy Trump, and that was
Yeah.
cool.
Which was so cool. He flew in and
It was yeah,
gave you like goosebumps.
and it was like at sunset, like it was just
Yeah, it
getting
was just, like,
dark.
perfect.
It was perfect timing for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we were there a long time, and there were how many more people were there than the Barack Obama one?
Oh,
A lot
like
more.
triple it.
Yeah.
Or more even.
Because even the Barack Obama one, it was on campus. Well, I guess it's not technically campus property, that Shenley Plaza.
I think it is.
Is it?
Because
I think it is because it used to be university parking.
I wrote an article about it, and the university reached out and was like, "You need to change this. It's not the University of Pittsburgh."
Oh.
Oh.
Because
Well,
I wrote
then-
because Bernie Sanders was there a couple days after,
Right.
so I wrote about that, and they're like, "No, this is not on campus." I guess that's like
Oh.
a public park or something.
Well, I mean, after all, it was an airport that was completely rented out.
And
So,
filled.
An entire
And
runway
filled.
full of cars.
Yeah. It probably took us longer to find his car afterwards than it did to get into the Barack Obama event.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was insane. It's straight out of a movie. Really straight out
Yeah.
of a movie.
Crowd was a lot nicer.
Everybody seemed happy with their lives.
No miserable college students with blue hair. Yay, Barack Obama. I don't. What a day. And that was the first time we ever met. Now we're I-
we're here.
You're probably tired of me already. But
No, definitely not. You have so much to say, and like, it's completely aligned with what we stand for. So we can actually have really good conversations, and I could do this for hours.
No, for real. And no, it's just a shame that my school isn't as, I don't even want to say as open as your school is, because I don't really think your school is open to this, but they're just required to. My school is private, so they can do whatever they want. But
It's okay because you're a member.
yeah, I'm an
You're a
honorary member.
of our of our chapter. You definitely are.
But yeah. And what do you have anything set in stone for next semester yet? Kind of still in the works. Can't
Still in
really
the
talk about it.
works. Just we're waiting for date confirmations, but I promise you I'll release it on either your podcast or interviews. I'll release it on yours before I release it on our social medias. But I mean, these speakers are like speakers you definitely don't want to miss.
Yeah.
And if they were mad, like I said about Riley and Cabot, like
It's gonna be a lot worse.
yeah, no, they're gonna be 600 people.
And I'm not gonna be in Pittsburgh probably,
protesting.
so I'm gonna have to.
No, we'll fly you down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I gotta like drive over, fly over. Hopefully, I'm still reporting and doing content creation, so maybe I'll have a. I don't want to say a legit reason to be there, but I can be there and still report on it and see what's
Yeah.
going on. Because from the 2 events you had so far, so much footage, and
Oh yeah.
the one of protesters screaming in my face got some cool attention.
Yeah. No, everybody that watches this has to go see Logan's like just like videos of like interactions with these protesters.
Ooh.
My personal favorite is this really cool guy
I
Don't know.
I want to say guy.
that he met, and he was on his really, really cool wheelchair. And they were
In
just doing like
Ohio.
a 360 movie, like
Yeah, he was
action
being
shot.
Circled.
It's
I,
hilarious.
You know, I'm gonna throw it in right now. I'll let you guys watch that while I'm talking. But yeah, I made a funny meme about that. It has like 450,000 views on TikTok
Yeah.
right now.
What did he say? He was like, "You scared? Go faster."
Yeah, he was like, "Are you scared?" I was like, "Yeah, shiver me timbers." Jeez. But yeah, no, it's great the interactions you guys have provided me with these leftists on campus.
Yeah.
So hopefully a lot more of that next semester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
If you guys want to plug your social medias or anything else you guys want to talk about, now's the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of topics we can talk about, but I think we'll save them for another
For sure.
episode.
Yeah.
But definitely follow our social media for Turning Point. It's TPUSA PITT, PITT. And then our socials.
They can
Yeah.
find our socials on there.
Yeah, you can find our socials on there.
Yeah.
But my name's Lili. That's Khaleil. But yeah, and if you go to Pitt, join our chapter. Like, even if you don't think like us, just come and listen to what we're about. You might enjoy it.
They're such nice people.
I promise you we are.
I went to their last meeting and we all sat around and someone brought in snacks for everybody and we literally just talked about speakers that we'd like to have on campus, reaction to the events. I just feel like people think that you guys just sit around and say mean things about
hateful-
like
no.
no, not at all. So yeah, like even if you don't agree, go. I'm sure you have at least one conservative value in your body that you can relate to them with.
Yeah, and if you don't, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about it. We don't have to agree. Because I can guarantee you that all of our members don't agree with what I have to say 100% of the time. But I think that's the beauty of it. Because that's where you share ideas and, I mean, have great conversations. Hey, like, you might be able to turn, one of the beliefs I have around. Or, like, make a valid point. So I think you should definitely check it out if you go to Pitt. And if you don't go to Pitt, check out the events we have, because those will be open to the public.
Or start a chapter on your campus or
Yeah, start a chapter on your campus.
join your chapter because a lot of colleges have Turning Point and college Republicans. And
And every single college should have a Turning Point chapter.
every single
Every
one.
single college.
I don't care if there's 2 members in that. You should have some sort of representation on
Yeah.
your campus.
You never know who is dying to have a friend group like yours. That's a conservative, like-minded friend group that's just so scared to speak out or to tell their friends that they think differently. So, like, you don't even know how appreciated it would be if you are that conservative that's scared and you don't have a turning point chapter yet. Start one. Seriously, start one, because not only will you change your life, seriously, you'll make some of the best friends you've ever had, but you can also change somebody else's life, because now you're giving them a space and providing them just a place where they can be themselves. I mean, I think everybody should take advantage of what Turning Point is.
Yeah. I don't want to sound corny, but I consider you guys family. Like,
yeah, no, it's a family. No, it seriously is, because, and I always tell Khaleil this, like, you come to college, and most of us, you're far away from your family. So you really make a family out of the friendships you have here. Like, you hang out all the time. You do dinner together. It's a family. And, like, that's what our Turning Point chapter is. That is the best word. It's a family. And, I mean, there's no hate. It's literally all love. So, like, yeah, if you have the opportunity, definitely check out our chapter. And if you don't go to Pitt, like, talk to us. Like, our DMs are always open. Like, I love having conversations, whether you think like me or not. Like, let's talk about it. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
Any last words, Khaleil?
No, I think she covered it all.
Cool. Well, thank you guys not only for coming on, but for being the conservative voice at the University of Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to keeping up with the progress of your chapter.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us.
Of course.
Yeah.